All right, so I know. No, that's not what I was going to say. All right, so, um, blah. All right, so I'm gonna add. There we go. I'm gonna add the 4K, 8K labels to the top of the screen wherever I put them in a minute. Like, don't worry, I'm not going to be annoying. I am going to add the labels so you know what K you're watching. But before I do add the labels, just take a look at this image right here, which is either 4K or 8K, right? And now take a look at this image here, which is either 4K or 8K. Can you see a difference? I know the whole 8K thing is like mainly, yeah, cropping in and not losing quality and all that, which we'll come to later on. But for now, let's just look at the image without doing any of that. Can you see a difference? I'm going to say one word right now to summarize the difference. Glow. So I've actually got to be a little bit more quieter than I usually am in my videos. I can't be shouting and screaming. It is very peaceful where I am right now. Like, got people reading the books. Like, they do not want James shouting and screaming. Like, it's a very, what's the word I'm looking for? You know the word that begins with T? It's a very tranquilizer place. Tranquilizer? Tranquilizer. It's a very tranquilizery place. Or tranquil. Is it tranquil? Tranquil or tranquilizer? One of the two. You know what I mean. They don't want me shouting and screaming. Anyway, Let me keep my voice down whilst I give you some key numbers from the battery test that I did, 4K versus 8K. So in 4K, I got 2 hours, 41 minutes of continuous recording before the battery ran out. In 8K, I got 1 hour, 57 minutes of continuous recording before the battery ran out. Now, when I say continuous recording, it kind of wasn't continuous in 8K, because around the 50-minute mark and 1 hour, 20-minute mark, I got an overheating message, which meant that I had to stop recording, and it wouldn't let me start recording until a couple of minutes later. So yeah, those are the battery tests. A couple of things I noted whilst I was doing the battery tests was the main unit's battery, when it gets to 3%, it doesn't let you record anymore. So essentially it has to have 4% or more battery for you to record. When I did the 4K battery test and the main unit got to 3%, so essentially about to run out, the screen unit still had 56% battery remaining. When I did the 8K battery test and the main unit got to 3%, so essentially about to run out, the screen unit still had 74% battery remaining. I think it's because obviously when you're shooting in 8K, the main unit is working harder, which is why the battery runs out quicker in the main unit, leaving more battery than in the screen unit. Anyway, another couple of bits of interesting information you might want to know are the file sizes, 8K versus 4K. So for a 1 minute clip shot in 25 frames per second in 4K, it was 597 megabytes. For a 1 minute clip shot in 25 frames per second in 8K, it was 921 megabytes. All right, let's talk restrictions, because when you are shooting in 8K, there are some restrictions versus shooting in 4K. Wow, this feels so much better being out in the open. Nothing wrong with being in there. That was a beautiful place to be, but it was a little bit too quiet. Like, I was sitting on my bench and there was a lady right there reading a book. There was a man right there reading a book. I was like, I don't think they're happy with this, and I wasn't entirely happy with it anyway. So I thought, you know what, let's get back out in the open. Right, restrictions when shooting in 8K. First things first, you can only shoot up to 30 frames per second versus 120 in 4K, and you can only go as far as 6 times zoom versus 12 times zoom in 4K. Now, one key bit of information to note when zooming, when shooting in 8K, is whilst you're recording, you cannot go above 2.9 times zoom. So right now, let's say we were shooting in 8K, I can only go up to 2.9 times. If I want to go above 2.9 times, so let's say to 3 times or 6 times, I have to stop recording and then boost it up above 3 times and start recording again. The same thing happens in reverse. So let's say I start recording at 6 times and I want to bring the zoom down. I can only bring it down to 3 times. If I want to bring it down to 1 times, so anything below 3 times, I have to stop recording, bring it below 3 times and start recording again. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Key bit of information, because you don't have to do this when you're shooting in 4K. When you're shooting in basic auto mode or even in pro mode in 8K, you cannot turn any filters on, or you cannot turn beautify on. You also can't shoot in pure video mode in 8K. So pure video mode is maxed out at 4K. The other thing you can't do is, normally in 4K, on the screen, you know the zoom button on the screen, you can hold that down to bring up the zoom dial, whatever it's called, the zoom slider. You know, like on the iPhone, you hold down the zoom button and it brings up a slider. I actually prefer this slider on the screen, because the slider, physical slider, is not the most responsive sliders. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, when you're shooting in 8K and you hold down the zoom button on the screen, it doesn't bring up the slider. It just says not available. So you can't basically use the on-screen zoom slider. Oof. Did you see that? I thought it was a big bug. It was just a leaf. False alarm. When you're shooting in 8K, you can't hold down. Sorry if I'm repeating myself. I was in shock mode. You can't hold down the zoom button on the screen to bring up the zoom slider like you can when you're shooting in 4K, so you have to use the physical slider. Okay, so I guess we better talk about the main thing here, the image. And yeah, you can clearly see when cropping in with an 8K clip versus a 4K clip, there's a noticeable difference in quality in 8K. Things are a lot clearer, not as mushy or grainy. That is, of course, only when you're shooting in basic auto mode or the standard color profile in pro mode, because when shooting in iLog and cropping in, 8K is definitely clearer than 4K, but nowhere near as clear as when you're not shooting in iLog. So yeah, things are definitely a little more mushy in iLog, in my opinion. At the beginning of this video, I said this. Can you see a difference? I'm gonna say one word right now to summarize the difference. Glow. Because yeah, I do think there's a slight glow to the image in 8K. It's kind of almost like this kind of saturation just goes up like by 2 or 3 like notches. It's mainly noticeable in skin tones, I'll be honest with you. For example, look at my face here in 4K. It's a little bit on the paler side. Now look at my face here in 8K. Suddenly there's this glow that has appeared, which is definitely closer to my actual skin tone. Now, saying that, and this might sound contradictive, is that the word? Contradiction. It might sound contradiction. When you look at the overall image, 8K definitely looks slightly darker versus 4K, which makes sense because there's a lot more smaller pixels in 8K and each pixel collects less light, which makes the overall image slightly darker. I think that's how it works. Anyway, yeah, it's not super dark, and to be honest with you, you probably won't even notice it. It's only when you're looking at 4K versus 8K side by side, but it's definitely there, and I think it's more apparent when you're shooting in iLog. If you look at this clip here, 4K iLog, and now look at this clip here, 8K iLog, you can see it's almost like the light has turned down. Imagine like a dimmer switch, just like the light has gone down again like 2 notches. With the zooms, to be honest, I personally can't see that much difference in terms of quality. Well, okay, yes, I can. There is like a difference in quality. What I mean is, I think it's pretty much the same in 4K versus 8K, but the thing I've noticed the most is there's more noise and grain present when zooming in, shooting in 8K. For example, if you look at this clip here, under my car, you can see there's no noise or grain visible. This is 4K auto mode at 6x zoom. Now, if you look at this clip here, under my car, in 8K auto mode 6x zoom, you can see in the darker areas there's a little bit of noise present. The same thing happens here. Focus your eyeballs on the darker bits of the frame of this house. The house here with the red door. In fact, focus on the window of the red door. This is in 4K auto mode at 6x zoom. Now this is in 8K auto mode at 6x zoom. You can see there's suddenly noise visible like on the window bit and like the darker areas in the frame, which wasn't there before in 8K. Oh shit. Wasn't there before in 4K. For me right now, personally, 4K is probably the K for me. I would say the main benefit for someone to shoot everything in 8K would be the flexibility to crop in post. I personally don't do too much of that, therefore the larger file sizes you get with 8K and the less battery and risk of Luna overheating and all of that, it just doesn't make sense for 8K to be the K for me. The zoom in Luna is so good, so if I did want to get closer to things, I still have the option to do that. I know I have to decide that when I'm out shooting rather than when I'm editing, but yeah, I still have the option to get closer if I wanted to. However, if you are someone who does a lot of cropping in, or you just want that 8K image, then yeah, 8K might be the K for you. So that is the question. What is the K for you? Let me know down below.